Hello everyone. So, in honor of my 11 months on testosterone, I have a very special video for you. And it comes to you by kind of a matter of of coincidence. One question I see a lot of people ask, and it's a question that I've had a bunch myself, is there anything special you need to know about traveling while trans? Whether that be taking an airplane, or doing a long drive where you need to stop at rest stops, that sort of thing. So let me tell you the situation that I'm in. My parents, they are moving from a state in the northern sort of Midwest down to a state in the South. It's a red state. There are a lot of red states in between those two, and I'm helping them move. My role in the whole thing is that I will be driving one of their cars from that state in the North Midwest down to the state in the South. You know, the first leg of the journey for me will be flying from New York to the state in the Midwest. I've done that trip a bunch of times, no problems. I've done that trip when I needed to take my testosterone with me. So I had a vial of tea and I had a syringe in my carry-on, and everything was totally fine. The next leg of the journey is going to be traveling via car from that state in the North Midwest down to the South. Now this leg I'm sort of nervous about. I've never done anything like this during my transition, and I just don't really know what to expect. I mean, my sort of strategy here is just pass as best as possible, hope for the best. Now, I'm also going to be having a conversation with my parents about, listen, I know you haven't really switched your pronouns in your head for me yet, but I really need you to try to do that right now, because if someone overhears you call me she, it could potentially make things really difficult for me, / put me in danger, you know, I don't know. Because I think along the way here, we're going to be passing through a lot of red states. We're mostly going to be probably staying right off the highway, so that's probably a good thing. And then, finally, the last leg of the journey is going to be flying from that state in the South back up to New York. I imagine that these small towns down south don't see too many trans people, and yeah, I don't know how they will really react. Will they be super nonchalant and whatever about it? Will they give me some trouble? I don't know. And I guess that's why I want to bring this camera along, because I'm a little scared, you know? Bringing the camera sort of makes it feel more like I'm doing this experiment rather than I'm going through a scary experience. And so it makes it a little bit easier for me, but also maybe, you know, it'll be a pleasant surprise, and I can at least share with you the information that I gather from this journey. So, come along with me, won't you, and we'll celebrate my 11 months on T, and I'll show you what it's like for me as I travel from a few different perspectives, from different spots in the U.S. Alright, so I'm just about packed up here, and just about to head out the door. I packed up a syringe and my vial of tea, and even though my shot isn't actually until I'll already be back in New York, but I figured as an experiment and make sure that everything's cool traveling with it. So, yeah, off we go to the airport. See you, buddy. Alright, y'all, so some time has passed here since I picked the camera back up. Last night, I flew into the Midwest. Going through the airport security at New York was fine, although I have noticed a bit of a common thing. You know when you, like, go through the sensor where it's sort of like, you put your arms above your head and it sort of breathes around your body to make sure you don't have any hidden stuff. Pretty consistently, an error message pops up right where my binder is. Maybe it's like the crease in the binder, like where the binding padding sort of stops. I'm not really sure why, but pretty consistently it pops up as an error. So they actually sent me through that machine 2 times to make sure I didn't have anything, but on the second time, they were like, oh, okay, you're good, and sent me along. Didn't have any problems with them. You know, all my IDs and everything all have female written on there, and it has my birth name on there. There were no problems with any of that. This morning, stayed at a hotel with my parents, and I'm on the road now, obviously, heading down south. Just left about maybe 30 minutes ago, but I had a conversation this morning with my father about, you know, how do we want to do this? If we go to rest stops, I'm going to use the men's room, because I feel like me using the ladies' room is not a good idea. How do you want to handle it? And he was a little bit confused, like, he was sort of like, just quiet. And then he said, well, maybe you could just use the stall. And I was like, yeah, perfect, exactly. I did mention to him not to, you know, to really try hard, not to gender me as female or use my birth name. And his response was like, he kind of thought about that and didn't really respond. And I said, or another option would be that we just stop at different places. If I have to use the restroom, that doesn't mean you have to stop. If you have to use the restroom, that doesn't mean that I have to stop. And that's sort of the conclusion that we came to, was like, yeah, we'll just be in different places. Won't have to really worry about that. So far, it's a good trip. Weather's good. I've got water and snacks, and I'm listening to NPR, and I also downloaded Trevor Noah's book on audio tape. It's like 9 hours, I think, so it should last a good portion of the trip here. We stopped. I used the men's room. It was fine. It was, yeah, there were like a few people in there, and I just kind of walked in, and it was like totally fine. Reporting from somewhere in like Virginia or something. Hey everybody, so we made it to, now we're down in North Carolina. I'm gonna try and use the bathroom. Just stopped at a gas station here, so I'll let you know how it goes. Alright, so yeah, everything was super chill in here. It was just a single stall bathroom. Went into the men's room, used the toilet like you do, and yeah, it was totally fine. So far so good on this trip. I think we've got a few more hours left to drive. We'll be where we need to be. So far everything's been really easy. Hey y'all, we're coming at you from the airport down south. Overall, being down here was like totally fine, and it's safe to say that I have like the passing privilege down here. Everybody sort of calls people like sir or madam or ma'am or whatever, and I was constantly sir. Never got misgendered once. However, I just got through security here at the airport, and some weirdness occurred for sure. I stepped up to like get the body scan or whatever, and
The local time is 7:30 a.m.
so I step up to go through the body scan, and the agent sort of like looks at me and starts like kind of giving me, and maybe it's because I'm wearing all black also. The agent was like, seemed a little confused by me, and then she did the body scan, and the body scan came up that like the problem area on my body was my crotch, like straight up my crotch. So she goes, what's your name? And I say Steph. She like kind of gives me this blank stare, like she still doesn't know what gender I am. And so I told her my birth name, because I wasn't sure if she like knew the name on my ticket. I was like kind of flustered at the moment. So I say my birth name, which is the name that's like on all of my stuff, my IDs and stuff. And she's like, well, do you want like a female pat down or a male? And like, and I chose female actually, because like I wanted her to pat me down and not like this dude who's like over there, which kind of freaked me out even more. So she did the pat down, which was like kind of invasive, because like I said, like my crotch lit up. I don't know if it was like I'm not packing at all either. I think maybe it was just like the bulge of my boxers or whatever. So yeah, it was like kind of uncomfortable. Then she's like, okay, you're good to go, and I walked away. But yeah, it was definitely kind of uncomfortable, and I left that area being like, I feel weird. It was actually fine. Such is life, traveling trains. Hey everybody, I'm back in New York. Good morning. I just woke up. I'm just reflecting on the trip now, and I really didn't have any issues, like at all. And even the uncomfortable issue that I had, in retrospect, like the flight or the security person was actually like super cool about it. She realized that like, oh, this is like a potentially weird thing, and she asked me what I wanted, and I told her. And even though it was invasive, it was like that's kind of necessary for when things look weird on the thing, on the on the little screen after they scan you. All in all, I think it was a great trip for me, and that leads me to the next point, which is, wow, I have passing privilege now. And that is so different from how things were before. It almost like, yeah, it's a little bit mind-blowing for me still, and I'm still sort of processing that because I just never thought that I would get there. I feel really lucky. That leads me to this: if you're on T, now you have this like account, right, of, okay, you can travel with your T. When you stop at rest stops, make sure that the people with you are gendering you correctly, and then just be confident in like, it's not a big deal, basically. Even in like these southern states, or a red state, or in the U.S., just a place that's not politically in line with trans values and trans sentiment. If you're not on T and you're worried about traveling, you're doing like a long trip, or whatever, I recommend looking for Starbucks along your way. If you can find a Starbucks, you can find a single stall bathroom. Maybe instead of stopping at rest stops, or instead of stopping, right off the highway, look around for a smaller restaurant or something like that, because a lot of times, and I found that along, just in experience with touring and stuff with the band, like those types of places will have a single stall restroom. So even if you have to go into the women's, or even if you want to go into the man's but you're afraid of, are you passing or not, you can at least have a single stall and not have to worry about people while you're trying to just pee or poop. So I guess that's it. I've been really lucky. I think, it's funny, like, even the one thing that was uncomfortable for me, which was, like, at the very end, flying from the South back up to New York, even that situation was actually, like, super... The security person was super professional and awesome about it. Alright, I guess I've babbled on this topic long enough, huh? Thanks for watching, and I hope it was helpful. Alright, I'll see you next time. Bye.